So today we planted Lisianthus seeds, which is a first for us. We're excited to try them out. They're beautiful flowers. I planted 4 trays of 2 types of Voyage and 2 types of Arena 3. So before you put the soil in the seed trays, you have to pre-moisten it. And you're supposed to get it to the point where it's wet, but not dripping. So it clumps together, but water doesn't drip out of it. Some more.
How compact does it need to be?
Tamp it down 3 big tamps. This is what I've been told. 3 big tamps, and you fill it again and don't tamp it again.
Okay.
So you want it compact enough that it won't like compress a lot when you are watering it later, but not so compact that the seedlings won't get their roots down inside. So you don't want to push your finger in. You just want to tamp.
And how are you going to tamp it? Just with your palm?
So no, I'll show you once I get all these filled. The outside is always the they're the hardest ones to fill without
losing all your soil.
Yeah. So people who do this professionally have equipment that will catch all of that, but when you're doing it at home, you just do your best. And then, so to tamp it, you take the whole tray and you tap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then you can see these outside cells and a few on the inside. Now I don't have enough. So we just add more of those and then your tray's ready to go. But you never want to push your finger down in because that will compress it too much and then the seedlings won't grow.
How many cells are in each of these?
128 cells, and they're deep cells. You can see the deep cells, but small on top. Because Lisianthus don't grow very fast. They'll be very small when you plant them outside. Still. So today we're planting, not these ones, we're planting Arena Apricot, which I've already planted 1 tray of those, and we're planting Arena 3 Gold. I'll give that to you.
Okay.
In planting, you want to make sure you label because you won't know what they look, which one's which once they're out of the seed packet. These are pelleted seeds. So Lisianthus seeds are very tiny. So here's a pelleted seed. They'll come in this. If they're not pelleted, they'll come inside this envelope and another tiny envelope, and they'll be really small, really teeny tiny. These are still small, but they come inside this little canister. I'm going to start out with 1 seed per cell. Sometimes people will put 2 seeds per cell, but we're trying to, for better germination, but I'm trying to go for as many plants as possible, so we do 1 seed per cell. I like to start in one corner and just go down the rows so that I don't forget which ones I've put things in. These are nice because they're white. Sometimes they're yellow, but you can see them still on top when you put them on there, so you can see which. But some seeds, like snapdragons, you can't see it once you've put them in there, so you have to just remember where you're done. So you just put 1 little thing. I try to get it in the center as best you can. 1 seed per tray, per cell.
Same thing over here?
Same thing over there, yeah.
So you just want to do it on the surface?
Yes. Lisianthus seeds need light to germinate, so they have to be surface sown, so you don't want soil to cover the top of them. Otherwise they won't germinate. We will put, after we put all the seeds in, we'll put a light layer of vermiculite on top. I didn't try that last year, but every video or thing I've watched says, and the instructions from Johnny Seed say it too. This is vermiculite. It says on it, increases moisture holding capacity of your soil. So your seeds won't dry out as much, but they also won't get like algae growth on it. This is what it looks like. And it's really light, and you just kind of put a light layer on top. You don't want the seedlings to dry out while they're in the process of germinating, but you also don't want to keep them too wet, because then you get something called dampening off, where the seed will just kind of die at the base and just kind of like tip over. Okay, so here's our setup for the seeds, for the little seedlings. They're on this shelf. Underneath every seed tray, we have a mat, a heat mat, that will keep the temperature. The temperature is supposed to be around 70 degrees while they're germinating. Once, and I just got these heat mats off of Amazon, and then lights on top. These lights are from Walmart, just grow lights. And you can daisy chain up to 10 of them together. So we have 6 here, 4 trays. So each tray is sitting on a heat mat and then has lights on top. You want the lights to be about 2 inches. This is about 2 inches, this lid. So they're kind of just above the lid from the seeds. And you don't want them too far apart, because if the seeds are too far away from the light, they'll grow really fast and get really thin. And they'll grow at an angle, or they just won't be like a strong, hardy seedling. They'll just be a weak, tall seedling, and then they won't like transplant well or survive. So you want to always keep the light 2 inches above it. So as the seeds grow, as the seedlings grow, you move the light up depending on how tall they get. Lisianthus won't get very tall; they'll stay really small. You keep these lids on until we see about 80% or 90% of the seedlings that have popped up. Once that happens, you want to take the lids off, turn the mats off, and you keep the lights on. I've read some places that not everyone uses dome lids on Lisianthus. That's kind of optional. We live in a really dry climate, so I decided to try it with the domes, because that's what I did last year with other seeds and it worked well. With other seeds, you have to have it, but I've read that Lisianthus is kind of more optional. You do want Lisianthus are more temperamental seeds, so they can't be too wet, they can't be too dry, they can't be too hot. So we'll see how this goes this year. We've never done Lisianthus from seed. So also with seedlings, these trays, I have these underneath them. I have these other trays that are watering trays. So you always water seedlings from the bottom. So you fill up the tray below and let them soak up the water, and then once you see that it's wet, you take off, you dump out the rest of the water. We're not going to do that yet. You're not supposed to do that until because the soil is pre-moistened. So until I see that the soil is dried out a little bit, then we'll do that. But with seedlings, you don't want the soil to actually dry out. You need it to, while they're sprouting. Once they've sprouted, with Lisianthus, you're supposed to let them dry between watering so they don't get overwatered. But for now, we just want to keep them evenly moist until we see that happen. Lisianthus take 10 to 15 days to germinate, which is kind of a longer germination time. So it's now just being patient. But I will say over here, so you want these grow lights on for the amount of time that like a day would be. So I have a timer. I also just got from Walmart. So I have the time the light to turn on at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it turns off at 9 o'clock at night. Just kind of like a normal in the middle of the summer grow light would be. And so then for me, that timer was cheap, and it was worth the money to not have to remember to plug them in and unplug them, because otherwise I'll forget. So you just want to keep an eye on these every day or so to check them for moisture. Yeah, we'll be back with updates on how this works. This is a great experiment for us. These are such beautiful flowers that I'd never heard of before. Tell my sister, who's a flower farmer, introduced them to me last year, and I'm really hoping to grow them because I can't buy them anywhere close to me. So I'm hoping to grow them so I can share them with people close so they can see how beautiful they are too. Yeah, now they're under the grow lights and on the heat mats, so we'll just see in 10 to 15 days if we get any growth.